Hey guys, it's Capheus for Sense8 Season 1, Episode 4, What's Going On? And that is how you write an episode of Sense8. Seriously, guys, this was the best episode of the season. I mean, this episode was really incredible. The way they utilize all the characters in this episode was really fantastic, I have to say. Now, all the characters, we pretty much know everything we need to know about all the characters, which is awesome, and I love that. And this scene gave us so much, more of this, their ability their ability for this sense that they have. We saw a lot more of that. We saw a lot of characters starting to embrace it and understand it, and I thought that was definitely very interesting, and I can't wait to see where it goes. We also get probably my favorite scene of the entire show so far, I have to say, and I love that. And what's going on was perfect title of this episode, not only because of the ending, but also because the whole episode is, a lot of characters starting to think, what is going on? How is this happening to me? And I really like seeing that. So basically, Wolfgang, who is absent from the last episode, and welcome, and I was very happy he was back. He has some of the best stuff in this episode, I think. Basically, Felix and Wolfgang meet with a fence to sell the diamonds that they stole, and basically the fence Abraham arrives and says that he was thinking about his mother, who basically fell in love with an Englishman after she survived the Holocaust, and he points out how implausible the events of her life were, and figures that the two thieves found the diamonds in an equally implausible manner. However, he doesn't want to see the diamonds in public and leads Wolfgang and Felix to basically sell the diamonds, and that basically is what he's there to do. So then we see, basically, Kala and Rajan are kind of having a family talk about their wedding and wedding planning and things like that, and it's about as stressful as you can think. Like, wedding planning is not something that's usually fun. I mean, these two guys that they have as their wedding planners are about the most snooty, obnoxious wedding planners you could think of. I mean, all they care about is the reception and money and things like that, and basically, we see that they're all there, and Rajam basically says that he wants an exchange of rings, even though it's not traditional, and he really wants to demonstrate his commitment to Kala, that he truly does love her, and that he would give her a real ring, and I thought that was really sweet that he did that. But these wedding planners, they're just not interested in it. They're like, oh, that's old-fashioned, nobody wants that. They're interested in money and the reception. That's what they care about, and I thought that was a really sweet scene, but also pretty funny with these two wedding planners who, it really shows how annoying wedding planning could be, and I thought that was definitely very funny. So in Seoul, finally we get something amazing with Sun. I mean, as I said the last episode, my main complaint was I felt like they weren't utilizing Sun properly. Here, this is everything I wanted from Sun. We find out so much about her character in this episode, because basically, she checks her bruised face in the mirror from the fight, and basically she covers it with makeup, and she remembers her childhood. And finally, we get into the story of her and her mother, which I thought was fantastic. They briefly started talking about it in the last episode, but then kind of just dropped it and focused more on Sun fighting and things like that. Basically, we see her wheelchair-bound mother, Misha, assuring her that her father does love her, but is closer to his son, Jean Kai, and she tells Sun not to be jealous of her brother, and basically that, fathers usually prefer sons over daughters, which that's bullshit, honestly. Have you ever heard a father loves daughter? Like, that's not really true, but basically she says to look out for him if she can't be there to do so, and I really like that. It really shows how vulnerable she is, why Sun is, like, such a strong character, and you can tell that she probably has been doing this a lot. I mean, you can tell why she's so worried about her brother. She pretty much is like a mother figure to him because of what, her mother said, that, if something happens to me, you look after your brother. Obviously, something's happened to her mother, and I thought that was definitely something I really enjoyed finding out. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I really want with Sun. I'm really starting to get into her character now, and I really like that. So Abraham goes to a library and confirms that the diamonds are valuable, and he knows where they came from and warns that they won't be easy to move unless he recuts them. And Abraham offers them a third of their value, but Wolfgang negotiates him to half, or they're just not going to take it. He says, look, I'm only going to give you half, and if you don't do half, then we're just not going to take it. And I thought that was definitely a very interesting offer. So Capheus, who, as I said, I really got into his plot in the last episode, really love what they were doing them as a character. what they do with him here is still great. I'm really loving his character. He's basically at home bandaging his wounds as Shiro looks on. She blames him, basically, himself she blames herself for him getting injured and for having to spend all of his money on her medicine, which, yeah, that really is why he did this, but he tells her that he's happy about it. This is his life, and that he's sure that it's going to be a good day. Even though things didn't turn out well, he got her medicine, everything turned out well, and I thought that was really good. Especially since Capheus had such a rough journey in the last episode. I like that Capheus in this episode is pretty much the happiest out of all of them. He leaves to go get some water. People are lining up at the Van Dam, and everyone is applauding Capheus. He pretty much is like this hero right now. Everyone's applauding him. They're just loving him for what he did, and Jayla insists that it's the safest bus in Nairobi, and I thought that was a very great scene. It was great to see Capheus recognize this hero after what happened to him, and I definitely really like that. So, Wolfgang and Felix go to the locksmith shop with their money, and Felix declares that they need new shoes to celebrate their triumph. And basically, I love, Felix and Wolfgang's friendship in this episode, because Felix pretty much just takes Wolfgang like the night of his life, which is awesome. And that leads me to like my favorite scene in the episode, which I will talk about. But Capheus pulls out and drives through Nairobi, and Jayla hangs onto the side of the bus and cheers. And it's this great scene, they're all happy and everything. The police pull them over and orders Capheus out. They take him away, and Jayla assures the passengers that Capheus will always comes back. And I thought that was a really interesting scene that the police... Now, that's understandable why the police took him away. Obviously, what Capheus did is illegal. He did, hurt them pretty badly, and he beat them up and, hurt them with pipes and, put a gun to their truck. I mean, he didn't really do anything legal, so I can understand why one side of the crowd looks at him as a hero. Police are basically, they have to do their job, so I thought that was definitely, I understand why that happened to him, but, I felt bad for him, obviously. So in Mexico City, Lito tells Hernando and Daniela how Joaquin came to the set. And basically, as we know, Joaquin is a huge fan of Lito. And they went to a lunch, and Daniela's ex-lover, we find out, put a knife to his throat. And I thought that was really interesting that we found this out. That basically he put a knife to his throat, and we didn't see that in the last episode. So I like that we found this out here. And Hernando makes... Seviak and points out that now Lito is home and safe, and they pretty much don't give a shit. They just move on and start talking about other things. And Daniela praises food, and the two of them start gossiping, ignoring Lito. I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, they're like, who cares? We're just gonna talk about gossip, and I thought that was pretty funny that they just didn't really care what Lito had to say. So I really enjoy that. I like how they're using it as, still the comedic subplot, which I think is really good. So, especially when this is such a dark show, you do need some humor on the show. So, Felix and Wolfgang go to a shoe store, and Felix tries on dozens of pairs of shoes. Wolfgang prefers the shoes that he has, however, he feels something rough on his feet, but he can't really tell what it is, and basically... we realize that this is what Capheus is feeling, because the policemen lead Capheus through the jungle in these really bad shoes that are just not comfortable at all, and they take him to, that's probably what Wolfgang was feeling, so they take him to an SUV where crime boss Silas Kopika is waiting inside. So we know that this is not going to end well for Capheus, and that I thought was definitely very interesting. So Kala goes to the temple to Ganesha, and a priest greets her. He warns that men like Manendra and Rajan are trying to strip away their traditions and keep them from praying. And Colin says that it isn't true, and the priest gives her a flyer showing how they use their profits to pay off politicians to tear down in the temples, and he asks Kala to pray to Ganesha with them to destroy their enemies before their enemies destroy them. And shocked, she just moves on. So she's pretty surprised that the priest is just against that, and I kind of feel like if this is the priest that's going to marry them, he's not going to marry them, because if he thinks that Rajan is going against tradition, there's no way he's going to marry them, and I think that definitely is something that's very interesting. So the priest not really trusting Rajan, we'll have to see. I mean, I don't really think Kala cares much about this. I think she does really want to be with Rajan, and she can see that he really does care about her, and I think that was definitely something I was very interested in. So Capheus then gets into the SUV with Silas. We don't know what's going to happen here, and he greets the notorious Van Dam, and Van Dam, of course, is the guy that Capheus has on the bus and everything. And he offers his hand, they shake, and explains that the superpower gang worked for him but rebelled, and Capheus destroyed the reputation in one afternoon by defeating them. And Silas wants Capheus working for him, and I thought this was good that we found this was a good thing that basically was happening. He wants him to work for him and says that he can provide Shira with reliable medicine, and we know that Capheus, they're not really doing the best in terms of money, so this is honestly a very good thing for Capheus. He could get really rich from this. He could get, the medicine that Shiro needs. This could be really good for him. And basically, to get the medicine, all Capheus has to do is deliver a bag at midnight that night, and Capheus has no choice but to agree. I mean, it pretty much is great. He doesn't have to worry about any gangs to take down. He pretty much just has to, do this job, and he'll get paid, and he'll get the medicine. So I thought that was really good that we saw that, and I was very happy for Capheus, I have to say. That was something I love seeing. So Kang Dae Bak returns to his office and finds Sun waiting for him in the desk, and she tells her father that the auditors already know that someone is devaluing pharmaceutical stock to embezzle money, and they both know who it is. And I'm wondering, well, who exactly is Sun thinking this is? That was something I was very interested in. But Felix then insists on going to an expensive restaurant and orders the priciest wine that they have, basically. And I'm like, why is he probably just doing this because, they have tons of money. So Wolfgang looks down his wrist and discovers that there are straps around them, and after a moment they disappear. And basically, we realize that this is because of Nomi, because then we go to San Francisco in the hospital, and Metzger shows Nomi and Janet new MRIs showing how Nomi's two hemispheres have almost merged completely, and he warns Nomi that whoever started the fire isn't helping her. And I really like what Nomi says here. She says how, oh, you think that you keeping me here is, helping me and keeping me forced against my will. I mean, she knows what could happen to her, and this I just thought was really interesting. And basically, Nomi objects, and Metzger orders immediate surgery, and we know what he's going to do there. They're going to I can't pronounce that word, lobotomize her, however you pronounce it. You know what I'm talking about. What Jonas said they were going to do, that's what's going to happen right now. And I was like, oh shit, they're going to lobotomize her. And I thought that was definitely something that, this scene really had me under my seat there. Basically, Sun then goes to a sex club, and we realize who she was talking about here. Basically, she goes to the club to find her brother, Jean Kai. When the bouncer refused to let her in, Sun then knocks him out and goes on, and I thought that was pretty awesome. And now that we know all that's gone on with Sun, the reason I think she's doing this personal training, for two reasons. One, so she's strong. Two, to really get that aggression out. Because you can definitely tell Sun's been through a lot in her life. She's had a lot of tragedy and heartbreak, and she's had a lot of aggression in her. And the way she takes that out, she needs some sort of creative outlet, and that creative outlet is fighting. And I think that's really awesome that Sun does that. So then we go to Will, who in Chicago, he goes to see Lieutenant Duncan at a police holding facility, who, by the way, Will is probably the person that gets the least screen time this episode, which was surprising because Will's, been the main focus for the past few episodes. So he goes to see Lieutenant Duncan at the police holding facility, and he suddenly finds himself in the sex club that Sun's in, and taking out another bouncer with a gun. Will then finds himself back in Chicago a second later and waits for Duncan. So Sun then finds John Kai at a private party, tells him to come with her to see Kang Dae, and drunk he refuses, and you can see that he is just in this really crazy sex club. I mean, it's about as crazy as you can think, and Sun makes it clear she won't take no for an answer. He's going with her, and she doesn't care what he has to say about it. She's making sure this happens, and obviously you can tell she's very protective of him, but it's good that she is. I like seeing how protective she is of him. I thought that was very well done, and I love that. So Sun and Jean go to Kang Dae's office, basically. Oh, wait. So basically that's what happens there. So Duncan then greets Will and starts speaking in Korean, and the lieutenant responds in kind, having learned it from his sensei, and Will has no idea what he just said. And Duncan asks about Mike and assures Will that Mike is still legend, and Will asks to see Jonas, and Duncan warns that it's federal, and they're only holding him until Jonas is transferred. So Duncan refused to break the rules, and Will waits for an escort out, and Jonas then appears to him, and this scene was very imperative. I love this scene with Jonas because we realize in the scene Jonas is not a bad guy. We realize this here. Like, we've kind of seen Jonas portrayed as this bad guy, but we realize here that he's actually not a bad guy. And in many ways, I kind of feel like he's going to be like their father, basically. While we know that Angelica is the person that gave birth to all of them and connected all of them, Jonas in many ways is going to be like their father. And I think this is really interesting. So he appears to him, and Will realizes that no one else can see him except for Will, and basically he can feel him, and Jonas says that he's in solitary confinement and reverses the connection, showing Will his cell. He explains that members of a cluster can do it instinctively, and that's basically how they can do this. And while others outside the cluster can do it if they make visual contact, Will can feel the wall, and Jonas says that Will can feel it because he does. And a guard then comes up to Will in the reception room, interrupting the contact, and I thought that was pretty incredible that we saw that. So Sun and Jian go to Kang Dae's office, and Kang Dae yells at his son to shut up. You know, he doesn't want his son there at all. He knows that Jean has been stealing from the company and that they're going to arrest him and dishonor the family business, and why is he turning against them? Not really important, but he's the one that's turning against them. And think of how much drama he put Sun through. I mean, she thought someone was stalking her, you know. It was pretty insane what was going on, and no, it was just her brother. And Jean then breaks into tears and begs to do whatever he can. And his father dismissively says that he still doesn't know how to act like a man. And Kang Dae admits that he spoiled his only son and failed to raise him properly, and his wife raised their only child who knows what to do. And Sun realizes that Kang Dae wants her to confess because she isn't publicly known, sparing the company the dishonor. And Jean drops to his knees and begs her to do it, and Sun glances over at her father, and I thought, you know what Sun's gonna do. You know that she's gonna tell her father what happened, and I thought that was really interesting. So outside the detention facility, this whole scene with Will and Jonas is just incredible here because we find out something that I thought was really interesting. Because basically, Will gets into his car and concentrates, and Jonas appears again right next to him and warns that he doesn't have much time. It says that visiting is something their kind just have to let happen. It's just going to happen randomly. They can't really control it, and that's because of how they're all connected. So when something happens to them, they need to control it, and I like seeing this. So Will reappears in Jonas's cell, and Jonas explains that sharing is something that can only be done within a cluster. And he tells Will that he has 7 other cells, but one of them, Nomi, is going to be destroyed. So now we know why he visited Nomi, because he knew that she was in danger. And basically, Jonas tells Will to save Nomi and himself, and then the connection breaks as men in hazmat suits enter the cell and take him away. So in that brief scene, we pretty much know everything we need to know about the Sense8s, that basically they can't control when this is going to happen to them, and I thought that was perfect that we saw that. I love that scene, and it really was incredible. It's not my favorite scene from this episode, though. We will get into that. So the surgical nurse prepares to take Nomi to the OR. Now we know that Nomi's in danger, because he said that Nomi's going to die, and basically she gives Nomi a sedative and insists that they're there helping her. Nomi yells for help, and Will hears her in his mind. He knows he has to do whatever he can to save her. And after handcuffing Nomi to a gurney, the orderlies take her out. Nomi sees Will in the hallway, and that was pretty incredible. So Sun then looks out over the city and contemplates her choice. She's not really sure what she should do, and it's understandable. I mean, it's a pretty risky choice here. Either let her brother, tell the truth and admit that her brother did it, or protect her brother's cover and safety and basically say that she did it and probably get fired from her job. So she really has a big choice here. And she then remembers her mother's funeral and Kang Dae telling her that he used to know what it felt like for his wife to love him, and he really didn't. And you can definitely tell that probably the reason he's so bitter and so pissed is because of him losing his wife. It did a lot to him, and I thought that was really sad to see, definitely. So, at her room in Shug's apartment, Riley checks her messages and discovers that her father has left her a message that they want him back at the symphony, and he asks her to come home and they listen to him perform. And I like that we're getting into this. I'm definitely seeing what's happening with Riley's father. That's something I'm definitely looking forward to. And Wolfgang and Felix then go out partying at a karaoke club, and this is when the episode just gets incredible. I loved these final scenes in this episode because Kala wakes up and she hears Bambi and Shugs having sex in the next room, which of course, how could she see this? Well, that's because Riley can hear them in the next room, and obviously we know that she is basically she basically is is visiting them. That's what she's doing. She's visiting, and Riley looks out at them, and basically she's visiting with Riley, and she stares into shock. She doesn't know what's going on. She covers her head, and Riley finally has enough and just leaves. She didn't know what to do, and I thought that was really interesting. So, Felix coaxes Wolfgang into going up and singing karaoke, and it's this really big step for Wolfgang. I mean, it's this really big thing. We know that when he last sang, basically Anton just laughed at him because he can't sing, and that's something with karaoke, is that you never really will see a good person at karaoke, but if they are confident, then they're fun to listen to, and I think Wolfgang does a perfect job of showing that in this episode, and the episode in general did that. So Wolfgang screams the memory, and he's just like, fuck you, and the audience is cheering, they're loving it, they're loving his enthusiasm, and I thought that was really great. So Sun pummels a training bag. Jean texts her and asks if they can talk like they used to. She goes back to punching. She just has so much stress. She needs to take it out. And the way they do this scene is just incredible, because Riley sits on the roof and plays What's Up by Four Non Blondes on her iPod. And What's Up then plays at the karaoke bar. And this just shows the connection that these 8 have, because as, basically Wolfgang is singing, not very well, I will admit Wolfgang is not a good singer, but he definitely is giving off the, confident vibe, like, he likes what he's doing, he's having fun with it, which I thought was good. Lito then lies in bed with a sleeping Hernando and Daniela. Capheus drives his bus and sings along to the song. Sun showers, sways to the song. Wolfgang starts singing, and Will starts mouthing the words as he looks up Nomi on the internet, because obviously he wants to know who Nomi is, what connection she has, and that's something I'm definitely interested in. Kala's sitting on the roof, just out of nowhere, she's sitting there. Lito's in bed, and he's singing as well. Capheus is driving and sun showering Nomi under anesthesia, and this entire scene I just absolutely love, because you see that there's just this one song, but they're all visiting each other through this one song. It really shows how just certain things like this, they're going to visit each other, and there's really nothing they can do about it. But it got them to this song. In many ways, for most of them, it is a song of hope, especially for people like Sun, like Nomi, like Will. A lot of these people need a song like this. Wolfgang especially, definitely. But Sun, after what she's been through, she definitely needed this, because it's a very triumphant song, and I thought that was great the way the episode showed that. However, my favorite moment of this episode has to be this. Kala finds herself standing in the audience of the karaoke bar and looking at Wolfgang. He looks back at her, then smiles, and you can tell, oh shit, he likes Kala. Like, he probably is gonna try to get together with her, which I think is really interesting. If they do this, this could be very interesting if they do a storyline where Kala and Wolfgang, he actually starts to have feelings for Kala, and that's something I'm interested in, what they're gonna do there, because Kala then realizes that it's morning, and her sister Daya then opens the drapes, and she wonders why, what she was doing, because, she was singing English and dancing, and basically Kala says that she was dreaming, and Daya says that she never has even heard her sing like that, which I thought was really interesting. So Daya wonders if she was dreaming about Rajan, and Will then visits with the unattended Nomi and finds himself handcuffed to a gurney in the OR, and he manages to pull out the IV with his teeth and use the needle to pick the handcuffs. Nomi then staggers out, and the way that Will was able to do this, I thought was pretty incredible, because he finds himself back in his own body, laughing and wondering what happened, and basically he finished his mission. He did what he had to do. So while the surgical nurse organized security, Nomi slips out a fire door, goes past a receptionist. The receptionist calls to her and starts to call security, but Amanita arrives dressed as an orderly. It was pretty incredible how Amanita just, busted in there. And we knew that Amanita was going to save her. You just knew. And she says that everything's fine. She gets Nomi into a wheelchair. They go out through a lobby. She's the best. She's probably the best girlfriend ever, honestly. On the list of top best lesbian girlfriends, I think Amanita would be number 1, seriously. I think she's awesome. So they go out through the lobby, ignoring a guard when he calls to them. They take a taxi as it pulls up, and relieved, the two women hug, and Nomi breaks into tears as they kiss, and Riley is still listening to the song, and she looks over, and again, it's kind of like a sign of hope for her. And then she sees Nomi, and basically Nomi tells Ania that she has a song stuck in her head. They sing it together, kind of like just getting them through this and helping them. And the Amanita even says that the song applies very well to them. Something I noticed with the montage is the way they did it, like the characters' lyrics really did apply to them. For example, one of my favorite parts, I have to say, is when we see them sing the song, and Lito sings a part where he's like this peculiar feeling because he doesn't know how to feel about his feelings towards Daniela and Daniela and Hernando and them having these threesomes. He doesn't know how to feel about it really, and I thought that was really interesting, and it really brought out so much character just through them singing a song, and I love that. And basically, they sing together. Nomi wonders what's going on. She sings along with Riley in London, and that's how the episode ends. So, overall, guys, incredible episode. I absolutely loved this episode, I have to say. Everything in this episode was just perfect, really. Everything was perfect. I loved everything about it, and there's so much to talk about. Let's first talk about, now that we know how these sensates can visit each other, who else is Jonas going to make an appearance to? Because obviously he needs to tell them all what's going on. It's because the only one that really knows now is Will, and Will's probably going to embrace this now. It's not as big as a deal for him because he knows what can happen. He knows that he really can't control when he visits people. It's just something that's going to happen, and there's nothing he can do about it. So I thought that was definitely very interesting. The way he rescued Nomi, I really liked, I have to say. That's something I'm definitely interested in, seeing how Will is going to move on from this. Not much with the Sarah case in this episode, but I honestly was fine with that because while I really like the Sarah case, I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen with that. I really like finding out more about the Sense8s. Like, that's why we watch the show, to know why the Sense8s are the way they are, why they have this connection, what's going on with them. That's why we watch the show. You know, what's going on. Not just the song, but what's going on. That was the perfect title for the episode, because now we know what's going on. Let's talk about Sun. She has a very difficult decision to make. What is Sun going to do here? Is she going to risk her job and basically protect her brother's safety, or is she going to just tell the truth and say that, yeah, her brother did and he's not lying? I'm interested in seeing really what she's going to do there. And we know that her and her brother haven't talked a lot, so we'll have to see what happened with that whole storyline. That's something I'm very interested in. Now, Wolfgang. Obviously, you can tell that Wolfgang is getting feelings for Kala, and this is definitely going to jeopardize her relationship with Rajan, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, Kala looked like she genuinely cared about him, and I really feel like these two are gonna start to have feelings for each other, and it's definitely gonna complicate her relationship with Rajan and her impending wedding. So we'll have to see what ends up happening with that. That's something I'm very interested in as well, I have to say. Nomi, how is she going to recover from this? Obviously, she's going to recover from what happened to her, and I like seeing that. Capheus, I can't wait to see how Capheus does with this job. He pretty much is on cloud 9 right now, and he should be, because honestly, he pretty much has the best out of all of them. I mean, Wolfgang conquered his fear, which was awesome, but Capheus got the job. He now can get more money for his mother. Is this legit? I hope so. I really hope it's legit. I hope this works out for him, and for his sake, I hope everything works out. Is Riley going to connect with her father? Obviously, she knows their father left her that message, so I'm assuming she's going to meet up with him and they're going to connect in the next episode, which I hope does happen. That's something I'm looking forward to seeing, what's really going to happen with that whole storyline. And that's something I am definitely looking forward to. Lito seems to be kind of like contemplating whether or not he likes this life with Daniela and Hernando or not. That lyric of the song just kind of made me think that, which I think is really interesting. I'm interested in seeing how that's going to happen. I like seeing that Jonas is not this bad guy. He's kind of there to help them out, and I like seeing, Jonas. The only thing you need to explain is, when can they see Jonas? Like, when does he visit them? How does he do that? I'm not really sure. That's something I'm still very interested in. I like that they didn't reveal everything. They pretty much revealed what we need to know, and there's more definitely to what's going on, but we pretty much know for the most part what's going on. I like that, I have to say. I thought that was something I really enjoyed, definitely. Um, is Kala and Rajan's wedding even going to work out? I mean, we know that they had a lot of problems with the wedding planner, so we don't even know if it's going to work out as well as they want. But what an incredible episode, guys. Seriously, guys, that is how you write a quality episode of television, especially with these 8 characters. They're doing a great job with utilizing them. If they keep using them in montages like this, and I heard episode 6, they do this crazy orgy montage, which some people say is one of the best scenes in the show, And I can't wait for that, because what they did with this song is really incredible, and I hope they keep doing things like that, because that's one of the reasons why I love this show as much as I do. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite shows on TV right now, very, very quickly. I have gone from really liking this show to absolutely fucking loving this show. This was the episode that sold me, seriously. First two episodes were great. I love them. Third episode was good. It wasn't the best, but this episode sold me on this show. I can't wait to see where they go in the next episode. It was incredible to watch, and that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will either be for another episode of Sense8, or for my review, or for another classic review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.